Always been fascinated by people's backstories. You know, the stories that sometimes we want to tell about ourselves, but are often reluctant to share. And the stories that we hope might lend some encouragement to others who've had similar experiences. Or perhaps we just don't want our life stories to evaporate into thin air after we pass. Jake and I started this project 2 years ago. I thought it would be finished within 6 months. Then life happened. COVID hit, and we were all scrambling to get into our caves and stay put. And for a time period, Jake's diner was closed. Jake has been ever patient with my long-time extension. Most of the writing has occurred at the diner, and special thanks to his fiancée, Nikki, along with the regulars at the diner. I'm just going to have a little audience participation here. Have any of you ever heard of the movie Some Like It Hot? Raise your hand. All right, I can continue then. Okay, so if you know the famous movie starring Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Some Like It Hot, well, I'm using this title to explain how important for food at Jake's Diner is to be served with this kind of attitude. In fact, I would go so far as to say that it had better be hot. Let's take, for example, buttered toast. Okay, so I love buttered toast, but surprisingly, Jake does not like toast buttered or toast without butter. No, he prefers instead plain unbuttered bread. And however, for his customers, he's a stickler that buttered toast be prepared properly. He reminds me that toast can never be served cold. It must be served with just the right amount of heat, or the whole breakfast will be deemed a failure. And I never gave much thought to that vulnerability of a meal being so dependent on this particular fact. But then, like all the other diner customers, I only have to sit down and dig in. And in my case, it's usually an order of sausages, scrambled eggs, home fries, and toast, heated to perfection, which invariably can put me into a right mood when nothing else can. So it isn't just about being hungry and having a decent meal. It's the fact that I know Jake has perfected the art of the timing of the food, and there's thought and concern in the back grill room where food is prepared. It isn't just slapped together and served. There's a protocol and a sense of caring that comes to the table or the counter or wherever I decide to sit. And yes, I come to be fed, but I also come to be comforted. And on some days even understood, and I'm never disappointed on either count. And while we are chatting about buttered toast and warding off other calamities in the kitchen, Jake never fails to introduce a couple of sayings that I invariably ask him to interpret. I share with him some of my concerns about my family dynamics and how difficult it is to sometimes get along with each other. And Jake knows how stubborn I can be about my own opinions. And he jumps in with, you know, a hard head makes a soft behind. And in a black family, this is a saying that's repeated a lot. And I have no idea what Jake is trying to get across. So what does it mean? It means that if you keep not listening to what some of your elders are telling you, you're going to have one sore behind. And at some point, someone or something will soften you up to what's important and what's the right thing to do. I roll that over in my head, and he continues with, don't you think I would prefer wearing a nice button-down shirt and just be walking around here supervising the staff? Well, that's not how it goes around here. And if someone doesn't show up and I'm counting on them to do some of the serving or help prepare back in the kitchen, I have to then shift gears and jump in and do whatever's necessary. And he delivers this speech with frustration and disappointment and also acceptance. My take on this is that he understands on many levels that running a business these days has many of the same problems. Not much time to ponder this as Jake interrupts my musing with, Nikki, plug in the waffle machine. Kevin's coming in. Who's Kevin, I ask. Oh, he's the councilman, and he likes waffles. Here he is now coming through the door. Kevin makes his way up to the front of the diner where he's greeted by Bob, one of the regulars. Bob shouts out a friendly hello coupled with, geez, you look great, and I now look like a real mess. And Jake re-enters the conversation with, Nikki, you got that go-do sandwich ready? And Nikki shakes her head up and down, confirming that she's on it. Linda, I'll be right back. Gotta check on a couple things back in the kitchen. And Jake dashes back to the grill room. There are more customers coming through the door. That's always a good thing. Nikki is circling the room with a coffee pot, refilling cups along with dispensing a smile and a kind word. And time passes. Looks like we'll have to wait for another day to capture more stories. I gather up my stuff. I see Jake in the back diligently putting nice hot meals out on the serving plates. It makes me feel good even though I have to leave as I hear his familiar shout out to Nikki, "Order up."
All right.